Now, I've always been one of those people that speaks his freaking mind. Whether it's controversial or in agreement with other people, I couldn't give a shit! So get off me back! But for the first time in a long time, I have to disagree when it comes to frames per second. Case in point, this Ubisoft Assassin's Creed developer. 30 frames per second feels more cinematic, while 60 is not important. It allows them to push everything to the maximum, and I would generally agree. Because I'm a console gamer first and foremost, I get what I get! That is until The Last of Us remastered version give us a choice between 60 frames per second and 30 frames per second with increased shadows. Now, I don't want to shit on your biscuit, I don't want to cause a fuss! But Gordon Bennett, Jesus! I was always under the assumption that 30 frames per second was just how much it refreshed, and it didn't have much bearing on the graphics, but I have to be realistic. There was too many important factors that were swaying on me than the increased shadows. One, the movements was much more fluid, whether it was the trees, whether it was his fucking hair, whether it's his feet. Everything was more animated. It actually moved. When you clicked to 30 fucking frames per second, everything kind of juddered a little bit. It kind of like guessed where it was gonna go. It was more slower. It was more, shall I say, cinematic? But it didn't fucking matter, because on to number 2! At 30 frames per second, the jaggy lines increased. And I thought to myself, why was this? Frames per second has nothing to do with the graphics. And then it hit me when I moved with the character. It wasn't refreshing fast enough. Because it refreshed at a slower rate, the jaggy lines was fucking evident. And it led me to the assumption that the higher the frame rate, the less jaggy lines you get. And to me, that's to do with the graphics. Is it not? I hate fucking jaggy lines. But here is the snag. I've only got one game to go on, and that is The Last of Us remastered version. On that, you can clearly see the difference. But is that just for that one fucking game? Are jaggy lines all over this shop with every game that goes down to 30 frames per second? If it is, I am fucking wholeheartedly wanting 60 frames per second on every fucking game. And if it is true, why the fuck are developers going for the cinematic feel? Do they like the jaggy lines on their freaking games, the bloody idiots? I always thought it was just to do with the animations. I always thought it just made everything a little bit faster. But if you're affecting my graphics, bitch, I want shit to change. You know why? Because I'm a beast!